The world doesn't run on motivation, it doesn't run on talent, and it definitely doesn't run on fairness. Shocking, right? But here's the cold, hard truth. The world runs on economic systems. The rules of the system you live in decide a lot more than you might think.
Okay.
How much you earn, what you can buy, how secure your future is, and, in a big way, how much freedom you actually have. In this video, we're going to strip it all down and see how the world really works. By the end, you'll understand the main economic systems, the incentives behind them, and the power structures that actually shape your life. What an economic system really is. Let's start with the basics. An economic system is basically a set of rules, like a giant rule book for society, that answers three very simple questions. 1. What gets produced? 2. How is it produced? 3. Who gets the results? Every society, no matter how big or small, has to answer these questions. The difference between countries isn't how hard people work or how smart they are, it's the rules they choose. Think of it like a board game. Everyone's trying to win, but if you don't understand the rules, you'll lose, no matter how clever you are. Capitalism, incentives and growth. First up, capitalism. In a capitalist system, most resources, money, factories, land, are privately owned. That means people and companies decide what to produce, how to compete in the market, and most importantly, they keep the profits if they succeed. The engine that drives capitalism is simple: incentives. Here's an example. Imagine two people open food trucks in the same city. One pays attention to what customers want. He changes his menu based on feedback, experiments with new recipes, and improves his service. The other ignores customer preferences entirely. Guess what happens? The first food truck grows, attracts more customers, maybe even opens a second location. The second, well, it disappears. That feedback loop, success rewarded, failure punished, is what fuels innovation, efficiency, and economic growth. But here's the catch. Capitalism is not fair. It rewards people who already have capital, money, assets, networks. If you start with nothing, climbing the ladder is a lot harder. That's why you see extreme wealth and extreme poverty side by side in capitalist societies. Incentives are powerful, but they come with a trade-off. Socialism, security, and control. Next, let's flip the script. Socialism. In socialism, key resources, think healthcare, education, or major industries, are often controlled by the state or the collective. The goal is to reduce inequality and guarantee that everyone has their basic needs met. Imagine a country where private healthcare companies don't compete for profit. Instead, a central system ensures everyone can see a doctor when they need to. The benefits? Stability, fewer surprises in everyday life. Predictability, you know your needs will be met. Social safety, fewer people fall through the cracks. The trade-off? Innovation slows down. If companies aren't competing for profit, there's less pressure to innovate. Efficiency can drop. Without a strong feedback loop, resources may be wasted. Individual choice decreases. Fewer options for consumers. In other words, when incentives weaken, productivity often follows. It's a balance between security and growth.
What the fuck? Damn!
The real world. Here's the reality check. No country is purely capitalist or purely socialist. Almost every nation operates a mixed economy, blending both systems. For example, a country might have private businesses driving growth and innovation, public education, ensuring basic literacy and opportunity, government-regulated markets to prevent abuses, social welfare programs for stability and safety. So the real debate isn't capitalism versus socialism. It's, where do you draw the line? Do you prioritize freedom or security, growth or equality? The answer shapes your everyday life. From the price of bread to whether you can afford healthcare. Who really holds power? Now, let's talk about power. Economic power doesn't sit in one place. It flows between governments, who set rules, taxes, and regulations, corporations, who control capital and scale, financial institutions, who provide credit and liquidity, workers, who supply labor and skills. Think of it like a game of tug-of-war. If banks stop lending, businesses slow down. If workers quit, production stops. Why incentives matter. No matter the system, incentives are at the heart of it. If people are rewarded for effort, innovation, or skill, they'll produce more. If they are punished for taking risks, creativity stalls. This is why understanding the incentives in your country is crucial. It shapes your career, your business, and even your personal choices. Navigating the economy. Here's the bottom line. You can't control the system, but you can understand it. Knowing the rules allows you to make smarter choices. Where to work, where to invest, how to plan your future. Ignoring the system. That's like being a chess player who doesn't even know how the pieces move. You might be moving around hoping for a win, but really, you're just stumbling in the dark.
No! No!
If governments change regulations, markets can shift overnight. Power is dynamic, not fixed. Understanding this is key if you want to navigate the system instead of being crushed by it. Why some countries get rich. Some countries seem to have it all: wealth, stability, innovation. Others, struggling, even with abundant resources. So what's the secret? It comes down to incentives, institutions, and rules. Incentives must reward productivity, institutions must be stable, rules must be predictable, corruption must be limited, natural resources alone don't guarantee wealth. Some resource-rich countries remain poor, while others with little natural wealth thrive. It's not luck, it's how the system is structured. Key takeaways. Let's wrap up the fundamentals. Economic systems are rulebooks. They decide what's produced, how, and who benefits. Capitalism drives growth through incentives, but can create inequality. Socialism prioritizes stability and equality, but can reduce efficiency and innovation. Most countries are mixed, blending private enterprise with public programs. Power is distributed. Governments, corporations, banks, and workers all influence outcomes. Wealth depends on rules, not effort alone. Understanding this system is like unlocking a cheat code for life. You don't need to agree with it to benefit from it, but if you ignore it, you're playing a game you can't win. The two neighbor countries. Let me give you a short story. Imagine two neighboring countries, Landia and Fredonia. Landia has strong property rights, clear rules, and low corruption. Fredonia has similar resources but weak institutions and unpredictable laws. In Landia, businesses flourish. People invest, knowing their money won't vanish overnight. In Fredonia, even talented entrepreneurs hesitate. They can't predict if their investment will be respected. Fast forward 10 years. Landia has booming cities, modern infrastructure, and high wages. Fredonia, struggling, despite having the same resources. The moral? Rules, not raw talent or resources, determine outcomes. Power dynamics in action. Let's dig a little deeper into power. Think about financial institutions, banks and investment firms. They don't just store money, they control liquidity. Who can borrow? Who can expand? Who can innovate? If banks freeze lending, businesses can't operate. Governments hold the rulebook. Taxes, regulations, subsidies. One policy change can reshape markets overnight. Workers, too, hold subtle power. A strike or mass resignation can halt production. Companies may even negotiate better wages or working conditions. The economy is like a dance, and power flows dynamically between these players. Mixing systems in the modern world. Modern economies rarely fit neatly into a box. For example, United States, mostly capitalist, but with social programs like Social Security and public education. Sweden, strong social safety net but robust private enterprise. Once you understand the rules, suddenly you're not just playing, you're playing to win. You see the incentives, the patterns, the power flows. You know where to take risks and where to hold back. Understanding the system doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It just means you're awake to the real game that's happening around you every day, because if you don't know the rules, you're setting yourself up to lose before the game even starts. So pay attention, make smart choices, and navigate the world intentionally. If you found this helpful, subscribe now for more insights into how the world really works.